Hey, so it's the Duchess of Wolves again. I'm doing another video. This one is not as lighthearted as the one from yesterday. I'm actually feeling kind of upset and bitter, I guess you could say. One of my Sioux friends recently, was a victim of domestic violence, which is very dear to my heart, as I have also been a domestic violence survivor. I posted a little bit about it in my We Wear Purple post from this past week, and so I just kind of wanted to talk about that for a little bit. It gets me a little bit antsy and unfocused to do so, so I'm sorry if this sounds kind of uncohesive or whatever, but I do want to start off by saying that one of the things that people fail to realize and really need to know is that when women, I mean it happens to men too, but majority women, are in an abusive relationship, it's very easy for an outsider who's never been exposed to that life to say, why don't they just leave? There are actually quite a few reasons why they don't just leave, or we don't just leave, and there are just about as many reasons of why we wind up going back. I'm going to talk in particular about my first marriage first and explain what kind of happened there. Sorry, butterfly. He seemed like an amazing person. Everybody thought he was wonderful. We were married 6 weeks total. Out of those 6 weeks, we lived together for 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks that we actually lived together, he went from being the nicest person to hurting me physically anytime he can. He cut me off from my family. He drove 45 minutes to my college to get me out of class, so I wind up having to quit school. My grades suffered greatly. I tried going back after I left him, but my advisor told me it was best for me to leave because emotionally I just was not there, and so my dreams of being a chemist went out the window based on a stupid decision on my part to marry someone that was not who I thought he was. We wound up getting separated the night that he literally tried to kill me. The only reason I'm here today is I lived in an apartment. My downstairs neighbor heard me screaming, and when he turned his radio down and my ex realized he was heard, he took off for the woods and I took off for my neighbor's apartment. Now, we, in the state of North Carolina, have to be separated for a year before you can file for divorce, which is what I did. At the end of the year, he told me he wanted to talk, so I did. I talked to him in a public place, and he told me that he didn't want me to be scared of him. He wanted to work it out, that he loved me and that he was sorry, and that he would never hurt me again. And when I told him that there was no way I was going back, his response to me was, now you're going to see what psycho really is. I spent years in fear. He followed me places, knew where I was, knew who I was with. In fact, my fear of him did not subside at all until maybe about a year or so ago. I can't remember exactly when I found out. I found out that he's actually in prison in Ohio for murdering his other wife after me and her sister and their 2 young children. So while I'm glad that I am not, I guess, didn't turn out the way she did, I have guilt. And the reason I have guilt is because I pressed charges. I did everything you're supposed to do. I went to the hospital because I had injuries from where he ripped my nails off and literally had tried to crush my skull. I had a witness that heard the commotion, heard me screaming, and basically North Carolina, Columbia County, hey there, gave him the choice of either going to jail or taking, I think it was 6 weeks of counseling, and of course he chose counseling. So, ladies and gentlemen, the problem with domestic violence is not the woman's fault, and I'm going to put that out there now. And a woman doesn't choose to stay because she's enjoying it or getting some kind of benefit from it or whatever, or she's weak. Those are not the cases. Many times, the abusers have time, find the time, or are incredibly good at manipulation and wear you down to the point where you feel several things. One, that you are worth nothing, that there is nothing you're going to achieve in life. You will never get anywhere in life. No one will ever want to have you because you're just worthless. Secondly, they make it so that you are fearful of leaving because you are afraid to die. And you think that by staying, you're going to live. Well, you may live if you stay, at least longer, but it's a slow death. They kill you internally. They take everything from you. They take who you are and completely get rid of it and bury it. You're no longer yourself. You start to feel like everything you do is wrong, even when it isn't. You start to believe that you deserve the punishments at a point because that's the mind games and the mind tricks that get played on you. And it is true, but it's hard to tell someone who's in that situation that they are worth more than that and that they're not at fault and that they don't deserve that treatment, because the person that's doing it to them is very good at making sure that they do know that they are worth every bit of abuse they get. The other problem is this, and this goes along with my second marriage, which was 13 years. And it started off as basically just emotional and verbal abuse. And towards the end, it got into physical abuse, including rape. And I had nowhere to go. I had no family here. I had no support system here. I went to the domestic violence shelter and was refused help because he had not physically assaulted me within 30 days of me having shown up there. So there's a time period that you have here in Georgia to get any help if you are being abused. And ladies, it's like you have to be abused within 30 days for anyone to help you. The problem is most of us don't leave the day that something happens. We don't leave the week after. We don't seek help. A lot of times, most women don't seek help at all because the first thing that happens is you get treated like you're lying. You get interrogated. You get pulled apart. People sit there and say, well, if he was actually doing that, why are you still there? So now not only are you taking the abuse from your spouse, your partner, or whoever, but now you have the people that are supposed to be there for you, basically telling you that they don't believe what you're saying. And I provided so much proof, including text messages in which I had him actually come clean and confess that he had raped me on multiple times. And he even went on to say why he did what he did to me, to try to justify what he did. He wanted to make me feel like I was loved was his answer, and that I was wanted. So anyway, needless to say, leaving him was incredibly hard because I had nobody. I had nothing. I was getting ready to live in my van. We've not been together for a couple of years now, and he still drives by my house. He still knows what I'm doing. He has tapped my phones. He did that before we ever got got divorced. He would know where I was at all times. If I was out with my mom, he would call me and accuse me of cheating when I was with my mother. My mom multiple times told him that I was with her and I was doing nothing wrong, but it didn't matter. So it's a very difficult thing. Now, over those 13 years, not only did I give up a lot of things that I loved to do because he hated them, I lost who I was. I was not myself when I left, and I am still working on it. I've come a long way, but it's something that is an ongoing process, to try to find who you are again and find that you are worth something and try to find where you fit in any shape, form, or fashion in life. And it's not that easy. It's a very, very, very difficult road. You question a lot of things. You start to question why you stayed. You start questioning why you didn't leave earlier. There's a lot of things that go on in your mind that is unexplainable, and I'm not going to counseling. I'm not seeing a counselor for this whatsoever. I probably should, but I don't. I do have a best friend that I tell everything to, and she's probably been the most therapeutic person in my life. She will tell you that when she first met me and we worked together, that I was the strongest woman she knew. I took no shit from anybody. I was a quick learner, quick-witted, knew what I wanted, a go-getter, confident like you would not believe. And she will tell you that over the course of this 13 years that she has seen me go from the person I was to somebody she didn't know. And it was very hard for her to see. When we were moving across country, me and him, she actually told me that she was afraid I wasn't going to make it, that I was going to be on the side of the road somewhere, which my mother also was concerned about. But luckily I did make it back over here. So I know that this video is kind of everywhere, and I'm trying really hard at the moment not to cry, because I don't like people to see me cry. It's bad enough that I don't like seeing, people seeing me really on TV or on video, because I just kind of get kind of embarrassed. But the truth is, I'm very hurt. I'm very upset that someone else that I know that is a beautiful person has gone through this. I won't mention any names, but I will tell you that I do love you, and I understand, and I am here for you in any way that I possibly can be. So, that's pretty much all I have to say about it for the moment. Brightest blessings.